Economic Growth and Change from 1800s through the 1860s by Mackenzie, Dakota, Corey, and Noah. Industrial Revolution. How did the Industrial Revolution have a significance in the economic growth and change? How did it contribute to the Civil War? Well, let's find out in the next upcoming slides. Steam engine. Invented in 1712, this was just the beginning of the mechanized Industrial Revolution, and it was later improved in 1769 by James Watt. Cotton gin. Patented by Eli Whitney in 1794, it made cotton seeding faster than it was done by hand. Train. Invented in 1804 by Richard, it did not give its true potential until George Jefferson opened his first public railway in 1825. Telegraph. Invented by Samuel Morse and several other inventors, it revolutionized how quick messages were sent back and forth. Sewing machines and steel production. The sewing machine was invented in 1846 by Ellis Howe. It made the production of clothes faster than it has been done before. Henry Bessemer made the steel cheap and easy to make. This in turn made building anything with steel cheaper to make. Significance. The significance of all this is that it revolutionized the financial system, created a new way of income, and paved the way for a large business to emerge after the Civil War. Trade and demand. With the demand of cotton being so high, America needed more workers to meet this demand. With that being said, cheap labor was the way to go to solve this problem. The result was America getting involved in the pre-existent British slave trade. Trade and demand continued. This created what was known as the Triangle Slave Trade, which was transcontinental trade between North America, Britain, and West Africa. This showed how supply and demand ruled the economy, even to the point where people were willing to buy other people just to get the supply that they were needing and wanting badly. Slavery and agriculture. Now, when you hear the words slavery and agriculture, what comes to mind? Does your mind jump straight to cotton? The Civil War is viewed as a major turning point in American economic history. There is an overgrowing division between the North and the South. The first textile mill in New England and in the 1790s created an economy that did not need slaves. However, the use of slave labor on farmlands continued. After all, it was rather profitable. All about that money. In 1805, there were over 1 million slaves at the worth of about $3 million. By the 1860s, there were 4 million slaves at the worth of $3 billion. In the 11 states that made the Confederacy, 4 out of 10 people were slaves. There were no prolonged periods of time where the value of slaves did not increase. The value of capital in the slaves roughly equaled the total value of the farmland and farm buildings in the South. Farming. In 1860, there were more farms in the North than in the South, although southern states, especially in the Cotton Belt, had the majority of large farms. Sugar and tobacco became the most profitable to meet European demands for the crops that did not grow in the colder European climate. Virginia planters made a fortune at growing tobacco, making tobacco, the first leader in domestic trade. Cotton succeeded tobacco much later. By 1860s, however, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana replaced Georgia and South Carolina as the leading growers of cotton. Not all about farming. If farming was so important, why did Southerners rush to enslave the colder Nebraska territories that remained snow-covered? Why were Southerners eager to bring territories such as New Mexico, Texas, and California into the Union as slave states? Pro-slavery advocates in California, for example, wanted slaves to prospect for gold and build gold and silver mines.